Forget speed for a second. A mile and 3/16 doesn't sound much more than a mile and an eighth. But in the Louisiana Derby, it is everything. That extra distance combined with that long fairground stretch will reveal which horse is built to stay and which this distance is a bit too far. How will you find your winner? Facts and figures are going to give you that winning edge. I give you the stats, you make the picks. I'm Maura from Trifecta and a little bit extra, and horse racing has been my passion for more than 16 years. Today, I'm not just previewing the 9 contenders in the Louisiana Derby. I'm going to be looking at stamina, who will thrive at the mile and 3/16 distance. And remember, this race awards 100 Kentucky Derby points to the winner, 50 to the second place finisher, and that will most likely guarantee both a spot in the Kentucky Derby starting gate. Before I get started, I must remind you this: horse betting is not legal in every state, so if you're betting, make sure it's legal. We're going to begin with that race architecture and how it can impact who you're going to select in the race, starting with the most important feature of the race, the distance. At a mile and 3/16, this is more than these horses have ever run. This is also the longest of the Kentucky Derby preps. Who wins a race like this? Horses that have something left in the tank at the end, those that can finish strongly, not just show that early speed. So I'll evaluate the speed ratings, but also finishing speed. Another factor in the race architecture, track itself. That stretch, the straightway, right after that last turn leading up to the finish line. 1,346 feet. This is the longest out of all the main racetracks in the US. Why does it matter? Closers, they need time to accelerate, and it's easier to accelerate when you're going in a straight line than on a turn. So more track means more time, which aids those closers. It also means that horses on the front, they need to keep that speed up, and many, but not all, will falter. Speed horses, they can win. They just need to relax and carry it for the whole distance. So for this race, I'm going to be looking hard at those closers. And for the speed horses, I'm going to say, hey, can they finish? Knowing that finish line isn't coming up quick. Another thing to point out, race configuration. The start right at the top of the stretch. That means that horses not only have this long straightway to the finish, but they also have it to the start. And that means you do not want to discount those outside posts. Those horses, they have time to get into position before that first turn. However, let's keep a couple things in mind. If you have a need to lead type in that outside post, they can expend a lot of energy trying to clear. And if they're caught wide, you're caught wide at a mile and 3/16, man, that can really impact you. Also, go back to Risen Star Day. There was a speed bias that day, meaning speed horses were winning more often than not. I want you to follow the track. I want you to say on Louisiana Derby Day, are you seeing a speed bias? And use that to your advantage. So with those things in mind, let's look at the contender. You ring the bell, you get a response, and that's exactly what we saw from Pavlovian in his last race. This is the most experienced horse in the field, 9 starts, 7 restricted races for state breds only. He seemed to put it all together in that last try, Sunland Derby, after 3 really bad starts and, let's be honest, not eye-catching races. In one, he broke inward. In another, he hopped. And in another, he hopped and he lost the rider. But let's not focus on these. Let's look at that Sunland Derby. A mile and a 16th at Sunland Park. Very tactical. Sits half a length off the leader for most of the race. He enters the stretch. He was repelled, but guess what? He re-rallies. That is hard. In the stretch, his strides were quick. He's dueling Express Kid and just wore him down. Photo finish, gets the win. Determined, motivated. That Sunland Park stretch, 200 feet less than the fairground, so he gets more real estate. Now look at that gallop out. Strong, ears pricked. He just kept on going. That suggests he could get the extra distance. Pedigree supports it. The last Spire speed rating of 87 doesn't put him out of the mix here. If he improves, elite win contender. Autobahn suggests acceleration, but from what I've seen, I've got to hesitate to say, is it there? 3 starts and the first 2, unremarkable. Notes say flattened, weakened. That's not what you want to see for a horse going into a race at this distance. Last time out, finally broke his main, meaning win for the very first time. 1.125 at Gulfstream. He had this really awkward start. He broke at an outward angle. He was 7 lengths behind the leader at the half pole. Now this was a very fast-paced race. 22 and change, 46 and change. He goes wide. He flies past the lead horse on that final turn. And he was under a light hold. I read Ortiz Jr. said he had to keep him focused going down the stretch. Wins by 5. But the Beyer is only light at a 76. And I have to say, who did he really beat that day? He's by Nyquist. Damn sire is Take Charge Indy. So he is bred for those longer distances. But I wasn't really impressed with his gallop out. For me, he's just going to have to be a pass. Better underneath than a winner. A Honcho is the one in charge. And early on, that may be our next contender. Chip Honcho. This horse, he knows the track and knows how to get around it. Won the Gun Runner in December, going 1.16 miles, 81 Beyer. He finished 4th in the G3 Lecomte here, but remember he started on that far outside and had to go wide. Then came the G2 Risen Star here at the fairgrounds, 1.8 miles. He gets out of the blinkers for the first time, gets out of the gate, controls the pace, and misses out on winning by just half a length, 92 Beyer. That's one of the top speeds, and most likely he's going to go right to the lead again. But remember, we said speed isn't everything here. We need to say, can he get the extra distance? When you look back at that last race, his late speed was trailing off some. The pedigree would suggest he's going to top off at 1.16 miles, but guess what? He defied that in the last race. He already answered that question. And coming in second to Paladin, not a bad effort, given Paladin is one of the top horses on the Kentucky Derby Trail. And guess what? Paladin, he had to work for that win. Now, if the track is favoring early speed like it did in the Risen Star, you gotta respect him. For me, elite win contender. Before we move on, if you're finding this information valuable, go ahead and hit that like button for me, please. And also subscribe. I focus on insights like this, horse racing education, so that you are more confident on race day. In addition, if you want that behind the scenes race day access, as well as invitations to events I may be having, go ahead and subscribe to my email list. You can find it at subscribe.trifectaandextra.com or use the QR code on the screen. Now, back to the contenders. Universe is the class of the field. But in this race, he's really not the center of my universe. 6 starts and 4 graded stakes races. But unfortunately, the best he performed in those races, 2nd place. His 2-year-old campaign, better than his 3-year-old campaign. And we haven't really seen a lot of progression from him. In October, G1 Champagne, he finished 3rd with an 83 Beyer speed rating. Then in the G3 Street Sense, Churchill Downs going 1.16 miles, 2nd with a 79 Beyer speed rating. A similar performance in the G2 Kentucky Jockey Club. In January, he makes his 3-year-old debut in the Smarty Jones. Unfortunately, he finished 7th, 11 lengths behind the leader. Then he comes here to the fairgrounds in February for the G2 Risen Star, 1.8 miles. The notes, they say no rally, and he finishes 4th with an 81 Beyer speed rating. No rally in the notes? That suggests, hey, the extra distance may be a bit much for him. And the speed ratings are light. For me, he's going to be a pass. Every race has a tempo. Golden Tempo prefers to set his late. Now, I do want you to note this. He is getting blinkers for the first time, which means potentially improved focus and performance. This is another horse that knows the track. All 3 starts have been right here. 2 wins and a 3rd place finish. He wins a 6 furlong main race. Then he wins the G3 Lecomte going 1.16 miles, 81 Beyer speed rating. His last race, the G2 Risen Star, he finished 3rd behind Paladin and Chip Honcho and improved that speed rating to an 84 Beyer. What did all 3 of these efforts have in common? He sits way, way, way off the leaders, comes with that big late run. He's like 9 to 10 lengths off the leaders at the half pole. The notes in the G3 Lecomte said he inhaled those leaders. In the Risen Star, he said, close the gap. The stretch is his friend. Now, he's not going to get any more running room because this is the only stretch he knows. So we have to answer, can he get the extra distance? And what are those blinkers going to do? Now, you look at his pedigree and you say, wow, Curlin as his sire, Bernardini as his dam sire. He has stamina written all over him. Now for the blinkers. After his first workout with the blinkers on, his trainer, Cherie DeVos, said he was more in that bridle. He wanted to go forward, being more engaged. And that's what we want to see. Because even though he rallied in that Risen Star, those leaders, they were too far out. This is a horse that I like. I like a lot. For me, elite win contender. Spirit alone, not going to win the Louisiana Derby. And unfortunately, I don't think the next horse has the speed or ability to get that extra distance. 5 sprint starts, Spirit of Royal finally stretches out to a mile and a 16th in his last 2 races. Going a mile in a $100,000 maiden special weight at Oaklawn finally gets the win. But the speed rating is really, really light, 66. The horses that he beat that day didn't really wow next time out. Then he goes into the G3 Southwest, a mile and a 16th at Oaklawn, and he comes up empty, finishes 9th with a 77 buyer. Empty doesn't really inspire me that he's going to get that longer distance. His sire is Global Campaign. He did well beyond the mile and an 8th, but the dam sire topped out at a mile. Now, Dallas Stewart, he stuns in these, but he's going to be a pass for me. A Bob Baffert horse in the Louisiana Derby? Our next horse, very interesting entrant, Blacksmith. Bob Baffert doesn't typically enter horses in the Louisiana Derby. Last time we saw this was 2013. Blacksmith has 5 starts, a win, 2 places, and a show. So 4 times on the board. Now, he finished 2nd in the G2 Los Alamitos Futurity in December, going a mile and a 16th. He finished a length and a quarter behind Litmus Test. Now, Litmus Test, he just finished a disappointing 3rd in the Rebel, but this was Blacksmith's best yet, 94 buyer speed rating. Yes, he did win a main special weight at Santa Anita in February, going a mile, but the buyer speed rating came back 82, and the finish was a minute and 37 seconds. That's a bit light. I did really like that rally in the Los Alamitos Futurity. He seemed really determined, but he's got to get back to that performance. Can he get the extra distance? He's by Liam's Map, whose dirt progeny tends to top out at a mile and an 8th, but the dam sire is Curlin. So potentially the distance is there. I also want to point out that he ran against 2 really good horses in his next to last race. He came in 2nd behind Robusta and Cherokee Nation. Robusta went on to be 2nd in the San Felipe. Cherokee Nation got a triple-digit buyer in his last outing. There's really something here if he improves. In my opinion, threat. Our next horse, lightly raced and 2nd Brad Cox trainee, Easterly. Easterly only has 2 starts and both were at Gulfstream. In December, he finished 2nd behind Class President, who went on to win the G2 Rebel at Oaklawn. Next time out was a $68,000 main race, a mile and a 16th. He wins by 2 lengths with an 81 buyer speed rating. Now here's what I really liked about that race. He was determined in that stretch run. A horse he passed came back at him. And guess what? He fought to stay in the lead. I also like that gallop out. Strong, ears pricked. This suggests he could get the extra distance. His sire is Uncle Mo. His dam sire is Tisnow, also suggesting that distance is there. And last year's winner of this race, Tistastic, also had that Tisnow influence. What gives me pause though, is he has that stalking style running type. He likes to sit right off the leader, and to do that with this outside post, he's going to have to get out of the gate quickly and can use up some of that energy. He's going to need to improve that speed rating, but he only has 2 starts, so that's entirely possible. Edgar Zayas, who has been on him both times, he's flying out to be his jockey this day. So for me, This horse is one we got to pay attention to. Threat. It only took one start for Emerging Market to show his ability, but does one data point translate into a win at a mile and 3/16? Emerging Market, he emerged from Tampa with a huge maiden win, going a mile and 40 yards. Not only did he finish with, get this, a 97 buyer in a time that was only a second off the track record, he had a very strong gallop out, eye-catching. That may mean he could get the extra distance. Also going in his favor, a strong late kick and a pedigree that screams stamina. Can he ride on top? Empire Maker as the dam sire. The issue, though, is the horse that he beat, Power Shift. He went back to the Tampa Bay Derby, only finished 6th. He didn't really engage in that race. And Emerging Market, in his main race, he was able to save ground on the inside. Can he do that coming out of post position 9? But even with that outside post, in my opinion, you gotta consider him elite win contender. Now, before you hit that end button, I'm gonna invite you to really join this community and do me a favor, comment below. Tell me, who do you like in the Louisiana Derby and why? This is a community learning and growing together and cheering each other on. And make sure you go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe for more insights like these as we are heading on to Derby Day. I hope you all find your winner on Saturday and sashay away with your money. Until next time, cheers.